The Matthew Effect. Why Success Favors the Fortunate. An audiobook. Narrative by Lit Vibe. Introduction. Imagine walking into a room full of highly successful individuals, world-class athletes, billionaires, top-tier executives. What if I told you that many of them share a surprising common trait that has nothing to do with talent, intelligence, or hard work? That's exactly what Malcolm Gladwell explores in Outliers. And in this chapter, The Matthew Effect, he introduces a powerful, sometimes unsettling reality. Success is not always earned solely through merit. It is often determined by hidden advantages that accumulate over time. In this audiobook, we will break down this concept in painstaking detail. I challenge you to listen, actively question, analyze, and apply these ideas to your own life. Because if you do, this could be the most important hour you spend today. Chapter 1. The Matthew Effect. 1. The Hidden Pattern of Success. Gladwell opens this chapter with an intriguing observation about Canadian hockey players. At first glance, one might assume that the best players are simply more talented or have worked harder. But when you look deeper, you'll notice a peculiar trend. A disproportionate number of elite players were born in January, February, or March. Why? It comes down to a simple rule in youth hockey leagues. The cutoff date for age group teams is January 1st. A child born on January 2nd will be competing against another child born on December 31st of the same year. That's almost a full year of physical, cognitive, and emotional development difference. In sports, where slight advantages compound over time, those extra months translate into greater size, better coordination, and stronger skills. Chapter 1. The Matthew Effect. 1. The Hidden Pattern of Success. Gladwell opens this chapter with an intriguing observation about Canadian hockey players. At first glance, one might assume that the best players are simply more talented or have worked harder. But when you look deeper, you'll notice a peculiar trend. A disproportionate number of elite players were born in January, February, or March. Why? It comes down to a simple rule in youth hockey leagues. The cutoff date for age group teens is January 1st. A child born on January 2nd will be competing against another child born on December 31st of the same year. That's almost a full year of physical, cognitive, and emotional development difference. In sports, where slight advantages compound over time, those extra months translate into greater size, better coordination, and stronger skills. What does this mean? From the very beginning, these children are set on a trajectory where small advantages turn into major opportunities. 2. The Matthew Effect. For to everyone who has, more will be given. Gladwell borrows the term the Matthew Effect from the Bible, specifically Matthew 25-29. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. In simple terms, those who start with an advantage will accumulate even more advantages over time, while those who start with a disadvantage will struggle to catch up. Think about the implications: in school. Children who get slightly more attention from teachers because they perform better in the early years continue to excel, while those who struggle get left behind. In the workplace, employees who receive early mentorship and key assignments build stronger networks and skill sets, which lead to greater promotions. In society, wealth begets wealth. Those who are born into financial stability receive better education, access to influential networks, and fewer financial burdens. This principle is universal. It exists in sports, business, education, and nearly every facet of life. Now, ask yourself, where in your own life has the Matthew Effect shaped your opportunities or limited them? Point 3. Compounding advantages. The power of small beginnings. Let's go back to those young hockey players. That small early advantage being a little bigger, a little stronger leads to colon ... 1. Better training opportunities. 2. More game experience. 3. Greater confidence. 4. Higher selection for elite teams. 5. Professional career paths ... This compounding effect is what economists call cumulative advantage. A tiny initial boost, if nurtured and reinforced, becomes a massive long-term success factor. Think about Warren Buffett. He didn't just become a financial genius overnight. He started investing at age 11. That early start gave him decades more experience than the average person who starts investing at 30. The earlier you begin, the more time your advantages have to grow. So, reflect. What small advantages have you ignored or failed to capitalize on? What skills or habits could you start today that will snowball into massive gains over time? 4. The flip side. Breaking the cycle of disadvantage ... The Matthew effect works in reverse too. A lack of early opportunities can set someone up for a lifetime of struggle. A child who falls behind in reading will likely avoid books, missing out on vocabulary development, leading to lower academic performance, fewer college opportunities, and lower paying jobs. A worker who never gets leadership opportunities will struggle to move up the corporate ladder, regardless of intelligence or effort. A talented musician who never had access to proper instruments or teachers might never develop their potential ... Here's where it gets personal. If you feel like you've been on the losing side of the Matthew effect, what can you do? 1. Create artificial advantages. If you weren't born into privilege, manufacture opportunities. Seek out mentors, invest in self-education, build networks. 2. Use strategic effort. Talent alone isn't enough. Place yourself in environments where you can be noticed and nurtured ... 3. Hack the system. Once you recognize the patterns, you can exploit them. Start early, position yourself wisely, and maximize every opportunity. 5. Turning insight into action. What can you do today? This audiobook isn't just about passively absorbing information. It's about transformation. So before we conclude, let's get practical. Identify your hidden advantages. What skills, resources, or connections do you already have that you've been underutilizing? Recognize where you're being held back. What external systems or societal norms are limiting you? How can you work around them? Commit to strategic action. If success is largely about positioning, what one thing can you do today to give yourself an edge? Conclusion. The power of awareness. Gladwell's The Matthew Effect isn't just a lesson in sociology, it's a wake-up call. We like to believe in a meritocratic world where talent and hard work guarantee success. But the reality is, opportunity is often structured by hidden systems that reward the already fortunate. But here's the good news. Once you recognize the game, you can change how you play it. You are now armed with knowledge. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you let the system dictate your path? Or will you hack it, work around it, and create your own trajectory of success? The choice is yours. The 10,000-hour rule. Mastery is not an accident. The myth of talent versus the reality of mastery. What does it take to become truly great at something? Most of us believe that talent is an inborn gift, that geniuses are simply born different. We see a Mozart, a Serena Williams, an Elon Musk, and we assume they were destined for greatness. But what if I told you that talent is wildly overrated? What if success, true, world-class mastery is not about natural ability, but about something much more predictable? much more controllable. This is the premise of Malcolm Gladwell's famous 10,000-hour rule. And in the next hour, we're going to break it down. Not just what it is, but how you can use it to change your own life. I warn you, this audiobook is not for passive listeners. This is a mental virus, an idea so powerful that once you hear it, you cannot unlearn it. It will infect your thoughts, your habits, and your decisions. And if you let it, it will change everything. Chapter 1. The 10,000-hour rule. The formula for mastery. The 10,000-hour rule is simple: to achieve mastery in any field, you need approximately 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. This isn't just a catchy phrase. Gladwell didn't make this up. It comes from research by Anders Ericsson, a psychologist who studied expert performance. His work revealed something astonishing. The best violinists in the world? 10,000 hours of practice. The greatest chess grandmasters? 10,000 hours. The most legendary athletes, programmers, artists? 10,000 hours. This number isn't magic. It's not a guarantee. But it is a pattern, a universal trend that separates the good from the truly exceptional. And this should be both terrifying and empowering. Because if mastery is about time invested, not talent gifted, that means greatness is within your control. Chapter 2. The Beatles, Bill Gates, and the Hidden Path to Mastery. Gladwell gives two brilliant case studies. 1. The Beatles, masters of music through relentless practice. Before they were the biggest band in the world, the Beatles were just 4 young musicians playing in small clubs. But from 1960 to 1964, they played in Hamburg, Germany, performing 8 hours a night, 7 nights a week. By the time they exploded onto the world stage, they had already logged over 10,000 hours of live performance. Think about this. When you saw the Beatles in 1964, you weren't witnessing raw talent. You were witnessing the result of insane amounts of practice. 2. Bill Gates, the billionaire who got his 10,000 hours before 18. We all know Bill Gates as the co-founder of Microsoft, the genius behind personal computing. But let's go back to his teenage years. In 1968, Gates was 13 years old. His private school had access to a time-sharing computer, something almost unheard of at the time. He was obsessed. He spent night after night coding, hacking, experimenting. By the time he dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft, he had already logged 10,000 hours of programming. Gates wasn't a lucky genius. He was an obsessed practitioner who got an early start. Now, ask yourself, what are you practicing every single day? Chapter 3. The difference between practice and deliberate. Practice. Here single quotes S. The mistake most people make when they hear about the 10,000-hour rule. They think, oh, if I just do something for 10,000 hours, I'll be great at it. Wrong. There's a crucial difference between just doing something and deliberate practice. The science of deliberate practice. Psychologists have found that the best performers don't just practice more, they practice smarter. 1. They focus on weaknesses, not strengths. Most people repeat what they're already good at. Masters isolate their flaws and attack them relentlessly. 2. They push past their comfort zone. If practice feels easy, you're not improving. Mastery requires frustration, discomfort, and failure. 3. They get constant feedback. You don't just need repetition, you need correction. The best athletes have coaches. The best musicians have mentors. So, what's the lesson? If you're not struggling, you're not improving. Chapter 4. How to apply the 10,000-hour rule to your life. You now know the formula. The question is, will you use it? Most people won't. They'll nod, say that's interesting, and move on. Don't be most people. Step 1. Choose your field wisely. 10,000 hours is a long time. Don't waste it on something you don't love. The Beatles loved music. Bill Gates loved coding. Find your obsession. Step 2. Design your practice. It's not just about hours, it's about how you use them. Build a system. Set goals. Track progress. Challenge yourself daily. Step 3. Get feedback and mentorship. You cannot improve in isolation. Seek coaches, teachers, critics. Step 4. Embrace the suck. The first 1,000 hours? You'll be bad. It will be painful. The next 5,000? You'll be decent. But by 10,000, you'll be a master. Most people quit in the first 500 hours. Will you? Conclusion. You now have no excuse. You've now heard the truth. There is no talent myth. No one is born great. Greatness is built. 1 hour at a time. 1 practice session at a time. 1 year at a time. If you want mastery, it's yours for the taking. The only question left is, will you do the work? Or will you let someone else outwork you? The choice is yours. The Trouble with Geniuses, Part 1. The Illusion of Intelligence. The Genius Myth. What do we really believe about intelligence? We admire geniuses. We assume that if someone has a high IQ, they are destined for greatness. We hear about Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, and Isaac Newton, and we assume intelligence alone is what made them legendary. But what if I told you that intelligence on its own is wildly overrated? What if I told you that the way we define smart is broken? That IQ tests and genius labels are blinding us to what actually creates success? This is what Malcolm Gladwell explores in Outliers. And in this chapter, we uncover a powerful, uncomfortable truth. Being a genius is not enough. In fact, past a certain point, IQ barely matters. And if you think that's shocking, hold on, because this will change how you see intelligence forever. Chapter 1. The Myth of IQ as Destiny. Let's single quotes. Start with a simple question: What is intelligence? Most people think of it as a number, a score on an IQ test. If you score 130, you're gifted. If you score 150, you're a genius. If you score 180, you're practically superhuman. But let's challenge that idea. Case Study 1. Chris Langan, the smartest man you've never heard of. Chris Langan has an IQ of 195, higher than Albert Einstein. By all logic, he should be one of the most famous, successful men in the world. Yet, he's not. He grew up poor. His father abandoned the family. He had to drop out of college, not because he wasn't smart enough, but because of circumstances, lack of support, and an inability to navigate the system. Langan was brilliant at thinking, but intelligence alone didn't translate into success. Why? Because intelligence is only one piece of the puzzle. Chapter 2. The Threshold Effect. How much intelligence is enough? Here's where things get really interesting. For years, scientists assumed that the smarter you are, the more successful you'll be. But research has found something shocking. 1. the intelligence sweet spot past a certain point. Having a higher IQ doesn't give you any more advantage. A person with an IQ of 120 is just as likely to be successful as a person with an IQ of 150. The real cutoff? Around 130. Beyond that, the extra IQ points don't matter. It's single quotes as like basketball. You need to be tall to play professionally, but being 7 feet tall doesn't make you a dramatically better player than being 6'6". There is a threshold where more doesn't equal better. 2. The difference between smart and successfully smart. Let's compare two people: person A, IQ 200, no social skills, no adaptability, no perseverance. Person B, IQ 130, strong work ethic, high emotional intelligence, resilience, who will go further in life? The answer is obvious. Person B. Because real-world success is not just about intelligence. It's about creativity, practical intelligence, social skills, and perseverance. Chapter 3. The Nobel Prize Experiment. Intelligence is not everything. Here single quotes. A fascinating study, researchers looked at where Nobel Prize winners came from. If IQ was the key to success, you'd assume that every winner came from an elite, high IQ university like Harvard or MIT, right? Wrong. Nobel winners came from everywhere: small colleges, public universities, unknown schools. Why? Because past a certain level, what you do with your intelligence matters more than how much of it you have. Action beats potential, and that's where most geniuses fail. Chapter 4. The Real Secret of Success, Practical Intelligence. This is where things get powerful. Gladwell introduces a concept called practical intelligence. It's not the intelligence that gets measured on an IQ test. It's something completely different. 1. The ability to communicate well. 2. Knowing how to advocate for yourself. 3. Understanding how to navigate complex social situations. And here's the kicker. Practical intelligence is more important than IQ. In the real world, think about it. The best lawyers aren't just the smartest. They know how to persuade. The best CEOs aren't just brilliant. They know how to lead people. The most successful people aren't just thinkers, they're doers. Chris Langan had the highest IQ, but he lacked practical intelligence. Bill Gates? Steve Jobs? Warren Buffett? They weren't the smartest people in the room. They were the most strategically smart. Chapter 5. How you can use this knowledge. Now. Let's get personal. If you've made it this far, you now know that 1. Being a genius is not enough. 2. IQ stops mattering after a certain point. 3. Practical intelligence is what truly creates success. So, the real question is: how do you develop practical intelligence? Step 1. Stop worshipping IQ. Intelligence is a tool, not a destiny. Focus on what you do with it, not just how much you have. Step 2. Master communication. Success is about persuading, influencing, and networking. Can you clearly express your ideas? Can you sell your vision? Step 3. Build social and emotional intelligence. Learn how to read people. Develop charisma. Master the art of negotiation. Step 4. Take action. Smart people often get stuck in analysis paralysis. The real winners are those who execute, not just think. Conclusion. The death of the genius myth. So. Here's where we end. The world doesn't reward raw intelligence. It rewards action, strategy, and adaptability. If you've been thinking that success is about being the smartest person in the room, let that idea die today. Instead, focus on becoming the most practically intelligent person in the room. The one who knows how to move, adapt, lead, and execute. Because that's what separates the truly successful from the merely smart. And now, you know the difference.
Problem with Geniuses, Part 2. Introduction. You think you know intelligence? Stop for a moment. I need you to take a deep breath, because what I'm about to tell you will challenge everything you think you know about intelligence, success, and what it really means to be gifted. If you've ever thought, I'm smart, but why am I not successful yet? Or, why do some brilliant people struggle while others, who seem far less intelligent, rise to the top effortlessly? Then this audiobook is for you. Malcolm Gladwell, in Outliers, reveals something most people ignore. Intelligence is overrated. The real question is, what else do you need to succeed? And more importantly, how can you use this knowledge to transform your own life? By the end of this hour, I promise you, your entire perspective on success will shift. This is not just an audiobook. This is an intellectual virus, a reprogramming tool, a mental awakening. Let's begin. Section 1. The IQ Obsession, a Dangerous Lie. Society worships intelligence. We admire geniuses, from Einstein to Elon Musk. The IQ test, a number that supposedly determines your worth. But let's talk about Lewis Terman, the psychologist who thought he had cracked the code. He found the highest IQ children and tracked them for decades, expecting them all to become world-changing figures. The result? Some did well. But the majority? They led ordinary lives. And here's the kicker. Not a single one won a Nobel Prize. Meanwhile, someone with a lower IQ, William Shockley, won the Nobel Prize for Physics. Reflection moment. Have you ever believed that if you were just a little smarter, life would be easier? What if I told you intelligence alone is not the key? Section 2. Why Smart People Fail. Case study. Chris Langan vs. Robert Oppenheimer. Chris Langan, IQ of 195, a true genius. Oppenheimer, leader of the Manhattan Project. Not as high an IQ, but he had something Langan didn't. What was the difference? Oppenheimer tried to poison his professor at Cambridge. He should have been expelled. But instead, he used his practical intelligence, persuasion, social skills, negotiation, to escape punishment. Meanwhile, Chris Langan, despite his genius, couldn't even convince his college to let him adjust his class schedule. The lesson? Intelligence is just one part of the puzzle. Oppenheimer had social navigation skills, a survival intelligence that Langan lacked. The world doesn't reward intelligence alone. It rewards those who know how to work the system. Personal reflection. Think about your own life. Have you ever lost an opportunity, not because you weren't smart enough, but because you didn't know how to navigate the situation? Are you like Langan, focusing only on knowledge, or like Oppenheimer, knowing how to move within the system? Section 3. The power of upbringing. It's not your fault. Why do some people naturally develop social skills while others don't? The answer: parenting styles. Upper-class families raise their children with concerted cultivation, encouraging them to speak up, question authority, negotiate. Lower-class families use natural growth, teaching obedience, respect for authority, not to challenge the system. What does this mean? Kids raised with concerted cultivation grow up knowing how to demand opportunities. Kids raised with natural growth follow the rules and hope for the best. Chris Langan's parents? He was raised in poverty. He learned to be self-sufficient. but not how to navigate power structures. When his college refused to accommodate him, he simply walked away. He didn't fight back because he was never taught how to. Reflection moment. What kind of upbringing did you have? Were you taught to ask, negotiate, and demand? Or were you told to just work hard and wait? Now that you know this, what will you do differently? Section 4. The myth of the self-made genius. We love stories of self-made geniuses, but every success story has a hidden support system. Bill Gates had access to computers at a private school in 1968, something almost no one else had. Steve Jobs, raised in Silicon Valley, surrounded by technology and opportunity. Einstein, mentored and guided by other physicists. No one succeeds alone. What does this mean for you? Who are your mentors? Are you trying to succeed alone when you should be building alliances? Success isn't about intelligence. It's about positioning yourself in the right environment. Section 5. Intelligence versus resilience, the true key to success. Angela Duckworth's research on grit. Intelligence is a weak predictor of success. What matters more? Grit, perseverance, and resilience. The most successful people are not the smartest. They are the most persistent. Case study: J.K. Rowling, rejected 12 times before Harry Potter was published. Many writers were more intelligent, but she had something they didn't: unbreakable perseverance. Personal challenge. Think of a time you gave up on something because it was hard. What if you had kept going? What's one thing in your life right now that you're about to give up on, but shouldn't? Conclusion. This is not the end. It's just the beginning. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Because most people stop listening when they hear something uncomfortable. But you kept going. And that tells me something. You're ready for change. Now you know the truth. Intelligence alone is not enough. Practical intelligence, resilience, and environment matter just as much, if not more. So the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? You have two choices. Ignore this and go back to life as usual. Or use this to completely rewire the way you approach success. I'll leave you with this final thought. The most dangerous person in the world is not the one with the highest IQ. It's the one who knows how to take action. Now go and take action. 3 lessons of Joe Flom. Success is never an accident. Have you ever wondered why some people succeed against all odds, while others, with all the right advantages, fail? Why some rise to the top, not because they were the smartest or the most talented, but because they understood something deeper, something hidden about how the world really works. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful chapters in Outliers, the story of Joe Flom. But this isn't just a biography. It's a blueprint, a set of patterns that, if you truly understand them, can change the way you approach your own life forever. This is not just an audiobook. This is an intellectual virus. Once you hear it, you won't be able to stop thinking about it, because success, as you'll soon realize, is not just about intelligence or hard work. It's about recognizing the hidden forces at play. And the moment you start seeing these forces, you'll never be able to unsee them. Let's begin. Section 1. Who is Joe Flom? Joe Flom was the last living name partner of Skadden, Arps, Slate, Meagher, and Flom, one of the most powerful law firms in the world. He wasn't born into privilege. He was the son of poor Jewish immigrants in New York. He didn't have an Ivy League background. He was rejected by elite law firms because of his Jewish heritage. But today, those firms are gone. And Skadden? It's one of the most prestigious firms in the world. How did this happen? What Joe Flom's story reveals is that success follows a pattern, one that you can learn to recognize and use to your advantage. Reflection. Have you ever felt like the odds were stacked against you? What if, instead of fighting the system, you could learn to use it? Section 2. Lesson 1. The hidden power of being rejected. Rejection is a gift, if you know how to use it. In the 1940s and 50s, elite law firms in New York refused to hire Jewish lawyers. These firms focused only on corporate law, the respectable cases. That left Jewish lawyers like Joe Flom with only one option: hostile takeovers and litigation, cases no one else wanted. But here's the irony. In the 1970s, corporate America changed. Hostile takeovers became the biggest legal battleground in business. And who were the only lawyers with decades of experience in this? The Jewish lawyers who had been rejected. The key takeaway. What looks like rejection today could be preparation for tomorrow. The people who laughed at you today might need you in the future. Personal reflection. Have you ever been rejected from something you really wanted? Instead of seeing it as failure, what skill is it forcing you to develop? What if this rejection is actually a hidden opportunity? Section 3. Lesson 2. The right timing is everything. The demographic luck. Phenomenon. Joe Flom wasn't just skilled, he was born at the right time. In the early 20th century, there was an immigration wave of Jewish families to New York. By the time Flom grew up, there were more opportunities than ever before for first-generation immigrants to rise. Contrast this with someone born just 10 years earlier, who would have faced the Great Depression. This pattern repeats in history. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, born in the mid-1950s, perfect timing for the personal computing revolution. Warren Buffett, born in 1930, perfect timing to invest when the stock market exploded. What this means for you. Success isn't just about effort, it's about recognizing when your moment has arrived. Personal challenge. What industry, skill, or movement is rising today? Are you positioning yourself for it, or are you stuck in an old way of thinking? Section 4. Lesson 3. The cultural legacy you didn't choose. Where you come from. Shapes. You, your culture, upbringing, and values shape how you respond to challenges. Joe Flom's Jewish background was crucial to his success. His parents worked in garment factories, teaching him entrepreneurial skills. He grew up seeing hard work, risk-taking, and resilience as normal. The biggest mistake? Thinking success is an individual effort. Ignoring the hidden cultural influences that shape how we work, negotiate, and even think. Your cultural inheritance. Ask yourself, what values did your family pass down to you? Are these values helping or limiting you? What strengths have you inherited that you might not even realize? Section 5. The final piece. Turning knowledge into power. At this point, you understand the 3 hidden forces behind success. Rejection isn't failure, it's redirection. 2. Timing is everything. Your cultural background shapes your strengths. But knowing isn't enough. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Your challenge: reverse engineer your own success. Step 1. Identify a rejection in your life. What hidden skill is it forcing you to develop? Step 2. Look at your industry. What big shift is happening that you can position yourself for? Step 3. Analyze your background. What skills, work ethic, or mindset have you inherited that you can leverage? Conclusion. This is your wake-up call. Joe Flom didn't become successful because he was the smartest. He succeeded because he saw patterns that others missed. And now, you have seen those patterns too. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you ignore it? Or will you use it to change your approach to success forever? Here's my final challenge to you. Within the next 24 hours, take one action based on what you learned today. Send that email, start that project, position yourself for the next big wave. Because the future belongs to those who can see it coming. And now, you can. Go. Take action. Here's my final challenge to you. Within the next 24 hours, take one action based on what you learned today. Send that email, start that project, position yourself for the next big wave. Because the future belongs to those who can see it coming. And now, you can. Go. Take action.